How do you like that? Yeah, you don't like to be watched, huh? Don't be a creep. Well, welcome to Tyler Granola Bar Broadcast. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for chiming in. It's great to have another viewer, but it's also great to have another liker. If you clicked on this, you probably love comic books because that's what we're gonna be talking about today. Today's guest is with this woman named LP Aki, who you can find on Instagram. It's linked down in the description, as all of my guests. But anyways, she's gonna be she's gonna be describing on what's her comic book is her upcoming comic book. But just jump right in. Check that out. I hope you enjoy, and let's get rolling. Later. Welcome to Tiger Granola Podcast. See you next Wednesday.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, and you?
Good. Thanks for coming on my show. It's good to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Thank you for having me.
Before we get started, just to tell the audience a little about yourself, just so we have an idea of who you are.
Yeah, so I usually go by LP Aki online and stuff like that. I'm a digital cartoonist. I usually do, well, it's more so like a hobby at the moment. But as for my comic, this is more so like a recent thing.
Have you made comics before, or is this like your first time making like a serious thing?
This is like my first time. I'm actually doing something on the side as well. It's less serious than this. Kind of like a Sunday strip comic kind of thing. It's also on Webtoons. It's called Sherry, Sid, and Marlowe. But it's less serious than this.
So is it like the things you would see in the newspapers, like the Charlie Brown Peanuts, if you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm a bit on the younger side, so I didn't really read newspapers, but I do know a bit about the Charlie Brown stuff in the newspapers, where it was like every Sunday it'd be like something that's not too serious, but it's just kind of comical.
Where did you come up with the idea before?
So when it's kind of a funny story. So like I really love music, and I've always wanted to be an animator. The animation school that I wanted to go to is too expensive. So I actually listen to like a lot of musical songs, and whenever I listen to those songs, I'm like, ooh, this would fit perfectly in the context of my comic. So I kind of like just clicked those songs and kind of made them into the story.
So musicals were kind of your inspiration in a way?
Yeah, so like Wicked the musical, because there's this one song, Defying Gravity. It fits very well in the context of one of my character's background stories. So I kind of just like based it on that, and then like Steven Universe, there's this other song, what is it called? It's called Here Comes a Thought. That kind of also inspired some of it. Just songs in general.
But like, what sparked this idea of yours?
What sparked the idea was my sister actually passed sometime in kind of mid 2019.
Sorry for
this. Thank you. And so when my mom and I were, and just the whole family was going through the grieving process, we were trying to figure out what we can do to like get that off of our chest. So with my mom, my other sister, my brother, and me, we actually worked on a children's book called The Merdragon. We published 2 parts of it. So it's supposed to be a trilogy. So when we published that and we got so much support for it, I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I actually had like my own story to tell and things like that in my sister's honor? The inspiration for All for One came up. It was more so just art-based, because like I used to do like anime like art styles. But then I kind of was like, wouldn't it be cool if I kind of did rubber hose? So my style is like rubber hose meets anime. And then from there, I just kind of used that for my inspiration for it to come up with the comic and just like do it in my sister's honor.
What is rubber hose, if you don't mind me asking? Is it like a style?
Yeah, so have you ever seen like the old Mickey Mouse cartoons Disney made, where it's like very slinky and stuff, skinny arms and things like that? That's kind of what rubber hose is.
Is that like style what your sister enjoyed while she was still here?
Well, she wasn't really into art like I was, so she was more so into like music and stuff like that. And one of the characters in the comic actually is inspired by her because she was. So we're like me and my family are African American, but she was into Hispanic culture and things like that. So when I was making the main character for the story, she was the inspiration for that because like the main character is Hispanic and she kind of leans into that.
Sidetracking a little bit, but like, when did you get into art really?
I would say I got into it maybe when I was 7 years old. It was, do you know Studio Ghibli? It's a company that does animation. So I was really got into it when I first watched like their first movie, but it was a movie called Spirited Away. And I was so captured by that. I was like, oh, I really want to get into art. So I copied one of my other sisters who she got into art as well. And the one who's still here, not the one who passed, but I would copy her and she got out of art. She just did to do poetry. And so I kind of copied her and kind of kept the art thing going and was inspired by other mediums like Spirited Away.
Going back to the comic book, if I got the year right, between 2 and 4 years you got started, how has your journey been?
Oh man, the journey has been like very up and down. So when I first started it, I was like, I need to do funding for it. So I started a Kickstarter. I actually did 2 Kickstarters for it. But when I was saying that it went up and down, the Kickstarters didn't really get off the ground. So the first one, I had no idea what Kickstarter was. I was just doing like looking into it and I didn't do any research. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to put this Kickstarter up and I'm just going to expect the money to come in. So when that happened, no one really funded it except for like one of my close friends. When I did more research, I did another Kickstarter and it got a little more backing. But other than that, I canceled it because I didn't feel like I'd be able to stick to the strict deadline that I was promising people.
Are you doing everything solo or do you have like a team?
So I don't know if we call it a team, but so I'm actually doing the writing for the because like on Webtoons they call it episodes, so I'm just going to refer to them as that. For each episode, I do the script writing and the character designs, and then I give the script for each episode to an artist who I've been working with since maybe like late 2013. I'm not 2013, 2023. And they kind of give me every like a 10 panel page every 2 weeks. And I just go over and be like, okay, hey, this is good. And then I have another artist who I work with who is going to be added to the team soon. They're going to be the colorist. I used to do the coloring myself, but then I realized how much time that was taking up from the actual script writing.
How long did it take you? Like a couple of weeks, maybe a few months? Like,
so I didn't do any of the. I've only done like the cover art and stuff like that. But when I realized that my art wasn't on the level that I wanted it to be for the comic, I immediately chose to hire someone else for it. Mm-hmm. And so it took me about a month to finally realize that I needed someone extra help for this.
Are you glad that you have a company?
Yeah. So I'm definitely happy that I have a team behind it. Especially because when I was doing the artwork, I was like, man, this sucks. But but when I actually looked at it when I looked at how they were able to so easily capture what I was writing in the scripts into an image, I was like, wow, they're really good. So now I'm definitely happy that I actually bumped into them.
Is your comic done and just not released, or what stage are you at?
So on Webtoons, a lot of artists, when they put out their comics, they refer to it as episodes and seasons. Season 1 is done in terms of script writing. It's not done in terms of art because we're still on episode 1. But I'm now taking a bit of a break because I've been like putting so much time and energy into season 1 since it's already done. So I would say maybe like 10% done of the way in terms of getting ready to re-release.
When do you think it's gonna officially be out?
So when I originally started, my plan was to have it out by, when I first started, it was like December of 2024. But since my artist was having some issues with family matters and like health reasons, we had to hold the project. So I would say maybe either December of this year or December 2026. At least by the first episode.
So at least a year and a half?
Yeah. And then I plan on doing like how people would do weekly updates and things like that. I think that's more so they have like extra people.
Who are the characters in your comic?
Well, I have about 8 main characters, but in terms of who the story follows, there are about 6. So there's Amy. She started out as the first character I drew when I was going from the anime style to Rubber Hose. And then she's like a vampire. Well, she's not like that. She is a vampire in the traditional sense where she can't go out in the sun and things like that.
Mhm.
And she's very bubbly and happy. And she's kind of like the wheel that gets the story moving in terms of how the narrative moves from character to character. There's Circe. She is a candle. I usually refer to them as monsters, even though they're not like monster looking. So she's a candle monster. And she's very calm and quiet, just kind of keeps conservative and keeps to herself. But Amy kind of gets her into some hijinks and stuff when she brings her into her life.
What's a
And
candle monster?
so she's just, and basically she just like has wax. Her hair is made of wax, and she has a candle wick at the top of her head that's always lit. And she kind of just has like, in terms of candle monster, it's not like she's a traditional candle in terms of how a candle looks. She's more so just has like features of a candle, just like a candle wick and wax she's made of wax.
So she has the power of fire and she has wax there, basically?
Well, not really power of fire, but she is made of wax. Her emotions are actually connected to the flame, so she's always sad because she feels like that's what helps her flame not get too out of hand. But then she kind of learns that writing really helps her, and that's kind of like a lesson that happens in the story, or like a theme, where it's like you can get if you have a therapist or things like that. It's like mental health.
In today's age, that could help a lot. That seems like a good premise.
Yeah, it's especially helpful for me because I actually have I was diagnosed with ADHD and schizophrenia. So mental health really means a lot to me, especially because it happened like sometime after my sister passed. And that's when things kind of went downhill mentally for me. But then when I started writing the story and when I started seeking therapy and stuff, that's when I was like, this really is helpful for me, things like that. So that's why mental health is such a big deal for me. So everything is public at the moment in terms of character bases. And I actually post some of the comic episode comic panels that I've worked with my artists.
Your universe, you chose pieces of like Steven Universe type style and Gravity Falls. Like, could you paint me a picture? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so basically, it starts off with, when it comes to Steven Universe or Gravity Falls, they kind of started out kind of focused on the characters and develops them in the story. That's more so all happening in season 1. And then, like, at the end, near season 2, like Gravity Falls or around Steven Universe, they kind of started introducing the main villains. That's kind of like how it is for my story, where season 1 is just very chill. No one really has there's no enemy to be fought or anything like that, and you kind of learn more about the characters. And then around season 2, that's when they realize the world is in danger and they actually have to start working towards the goal of defeating the evil presence that arrives, and then any other evil person that comes around, things like that.
Okay, so it kind of builds itself up as in like Gravity Falls, where they get there in the summer and then like at the end are basically, life or death.
So like how Bill doesn't get introduced until later into the series, things like that. That's when the main villain doesn't get introduced into the series.
As a Gravity Falls fan, I do like that premise. It seems like something a lot of people, in that community would definitely want to listen to. What kind of style are you going for? Is it like anime, Cartoon Network? What's the style you're kind of aiming for?
So when it came to looking for a style, I actually was going that based off of whatever the artist I was looking for could do. So it's more so like a cartoony, like kind of Cartoon Network style. And I feel like that's kind of like unique in terms of webtoons, because all the webtoons I look at, they all have this specific style. And I'm like, I want to break away from that. It is kind of like Cartoon Network kind of.
I didn't know if we were talking about Amazing World of Gumball kind of stuff.
Well, I guess it will have some aspects of that in terms of like how their limbs look, but not like the body style.
What do you think that's the toughest challenge of this?
I would definitely think in terms of, because like how the story progresses, the season 1 is easy because it's like just you can put any idea in there because it's slice of life, and you just want to go into how the main characters get into like trouble and stuff like that, like comedy wise. But I think the toughest part would be able to get to the main action, but also put in some other episodes in between so the pacing isn't too fast, things like that.
Is your comic done and just not released, or what stage are you at?
So on Webtoons, a lot of artists when they put out their comics, they refer to it as episodes and seasons. Well, season 1 is done in terms of script writing. It's not done in terms of art because we're still on episode 1. But I'm down taking a bit of a break because I've been like putting so much time and energy into season 1 since it's already done. So I would say maybe I like 10% done of the way in terms of getting ready to re-release.
When do you think it's gonna officially be out?
When I first started, it was like December of 2024. But since my artist was having some issues with family matters and like health reasons, we had to hold the project. So I would say maybe either December of this year or December 2026. And then I plan on doing like monthly updates instead of like how people would do weekly updates and things like that. I think that's more so if they had like when they have like extra people.
Do you think you would have been able to do it without your team?
Oh, definitely not. At least not. I don't think so.
Without giving out too much detail, what's a moment in the story you're most excited for readers to experience?
There is just one character, but I'm not going to say which one, but they have autism, and it's basically based off of my sister and a good friend of mine as well, because I do know some people who have, in terms of my sister, she had autism, and my friend who I'm talking to recently has autism. So I'm very excited to be able to represent people on the spectrum. It's not like a caricature of autism where it's like people make fun of them and stuff like that. It's actually very serious. So like it goes based off of how younger kids who have autism are nonverbal and and stuff like that. And it goes into how they are in terms of intelligence wise and how they function in society and things like that. So I'm very excited for readers to be able to feel, especially people on the spectrum, to be able to find like characters who represent them and isn't something that like just either there's one or like there's, when people represent people with autism, they see like very extreme or none at all. So I'm very excited to see people like be able to relate to that character.
Compared to ones with and without, how many people have mental illnesses in the show?
I would say, let me see, maybe 3 in terms of the main cast because there's 6. So in terms of like the main people who are going to be, so probably like half of them.
And when did you say it was going to be out?
At least sometime in December of 2026. At least that's what I'm hoping.
Give 15 seconds to share out a company, a social, just anything your heart wants.
Follow me on Twitch, artistically with an extra Y at the end. I do gaming streams and I do art on weekends.